Commander Elias Ward stood quietly near the edge of the grand hall. He could feel the low hum of conversations, the shifting of footsteps, and the soft glow of the enormous crystal chandeliers above. This was his first time at the Galactic Diplomatic Conclave, held every 5 cycles in the heart of the star system, Xandria. Representatives from hundreds of alien worlds had gathered here for trade deals, alliances, and sometimes arranged marriages. Elias was nervous but proud. Earth had sent him as their youngest diplomat and military commander. The weight of his people's hopes rested on his shoulders. He looked around the hall filled with beings of all shapes, sizes, and colors, tall reptilian nobles, floating energy forms, many-eyed creatures with shimmering scales, and elegant humanoids with glowing tattoos. But one figure caught his eye above all others. Near the far side of the room sat a lone princess, cloaked in a simple silver veil that covered her face and shoulders. She did not speak or join any groups. No one approached her. Her posture was quiet, almost invisible. She was Princess Jirali of Velthara, a planet once known for its power, but now considered cursed. The Veltharans had lost their place in galactic politics after a long war and had become outcasts. Their greatest gift, the ability to see emotions as colors and shapes, was now seen as a threat. Elias had heard stories about her, that she never spoke because her voice was dangerous, that she was unwanted, a living secret. But as he watched her quietly scan the room with deep violet eyes, something stirred inside him. He took a deep breath. Walking slowly through the crowd, he approached the princess. His heart pounded as he bowed respectfully. "You're the most beautiful one here," he said softly, almost like a prayer. The room seemed to pause. The assembled nobles turned to look. Some smiled, others scoffed. A few whispered that a human had made a fool of himself. But Jirali did not laugh. She looked up at Elias with a steady gaze. Her eyes shone, but no words came. Elias felt a strange calm wash over him. "My name is Elias Ward, from Earth," he said. "I wish to know you." Without another word, the princess turned and disappeared. Through a side door, later in the quiet halls behind the main gathering, Elias found her again. The space smelled faintly of jasmine and something cold, like ice. "I do not speak much," Jirali said finally, her voice a soft melody that echoed inside his mind more than his ears. It was the first time he heard her voice. "My people speak through feelings. Words are ... dangerous." Elias nodded slowly. "I want to learn. Why are you here if no one listens?" She looked away, her veil slipping slightly. "Exile. My family sent me to this conclave to be sold, to form a new alliance. But I am not a prize." "You are not," Elias promised. "No one should see you that way." For the first time, a faint smile touched her lips. "Thank you. We're the first to see beyond the silence." He studied her closely. Her skin was pale but with a shimmer that caught the light. Her hands moved gracefully like a dancer's, though her eyes held years of loneliness. "This place is dangerous," Elias said. "Many want to use you or destroy you. Why trust me?" Jirali's eyes searched his. "Because you spoke truth? Your heart does not hide." A sudden noise echoed from the main hall, shouts and chaos. Elias grabbed her hand. "We should see what is happening." They hurried to the balcony overlooking the main room. A group of angry delegates shouted at each other. A Veltharan noble pointed accusingly at Jirali. "She is a traitor, a spy. We cannot allow her to make deals with humans." Elias tightened his grip. "This is only the beginning." Jirali nodded, her silence filled with resolve. That night, Elias sat alone in his quarters. He stared out at the stars and thought about the princess. The galaxy was full of violence, politics, and fear. But here was someone who refused to be silenced. His datapad beeped. A message from Earth's Council asked for updates, for signs of progress. He sighed. How could he explain the impossible friendship that had just begun? Tomorrow, the conclave would start again. And Elias knew the silent princess was going to surprise everyone. The morning light filtered softly through the tall windows of the diplomatic station on Xandria. Commander Elias Ward sat at the small wooden table in his quarters, the aroma of fresh coffee filling the room. He replayed the events from the previous night in his mind, wondering how an alien princess like Gerali could change the course of such a dangerous meeting. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Before he could speak, it opened quietly, and a slender figure slipped inside. It was Gerali. She looked different in the daylight. Her veil had been removed, revealing the smooth, pale skin of her face and the deep violet of her eyes. There was a soft glow about her, as if light itself whispered secrets to her. "I came to speak," she said softly, her voice carrying a strange, calming melody. Elias gestured for her to sit, and she lowered herself onto the chair across from him. "I have been silent for many years," Gerali began, her eyes fixed on a distant point. "Not by choice, but by need. My people once had a gift, the gift of a motion sight." Elias frowned. "Motion sight?" Gerali nodded slowly. "We can see feelings as colors, shapes, and waves around others. We understand truth without words." It was beautiful, but dangerous. During the war, many used this power to deceive and control. Our gift became a weapon that destroyed trust. She paused, as if fighting the weight of memory. "Now, most fear us. We are outcasts, exiled from the councils. I was sent here to be sold in a political marriage to an alien lord, a union to restore my family's power." Elias's jaw tightened. "It's terrible. You don't deserve to be treated like property." Gerali's lips curved slightly. "Your kindness is rare. Humans speak loudly with passion and courage, but I speak in silence and thought. Few listen." She reached out, touching his hand lightly. "But you listened." Elias looked down at their joined hands, feeling the warmth of connection. "I want to help." Suddenly the calm in the room shifted. A faint vibration pulsed through the walls, the echo of a disturbance in the main hall. They rose quickly, moving toward the door. The diplomatic conclave had erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted accusations. Eltheran nobles pointed fingers at Gerali, calling her a traitor and spy. Some accused Elias of conspiring with the outcast princess to overthrow existing alliances. Elias stepped forward, raising his voice to calm the crowd. "This is not the way," he said firmly. "Gerali is not a traitor. She has knowledge and power that can benefit us all." His words were met with disbelief and anger. Gerali stood beside him, silent but resolute. Then the attackers lunged. In the confusion, Elias was caught off guard by a sharp sting in his neck. His vision blurred as he felt himself falling. But before he could lose consciousness, a wave of strange sensation rippled through the room. Gerali closed her eyes. Suddenly, the world shifted. She reached out with her mind. The attackers froze, their eyes wide with terror as if invisible hands gripped their hearts. A flood of emotions spilled from her: fear, pain, regret, overwhelming and raw. One by one, the attackers dropped to their knees, unable to move or speak. The hall fell silent. All eyes turned to Gerali. Elias woke in a medical bay, his head aching but body mostly unharmed. Gerali sat beside him, looking tired but peaceful. "You saved me," he said weakly. She smiled softly. "It was necessary. Your power, it's incredible." Gerali nodded. "It is why they fear me. But it can be a force for peace if used wisely." Elias was curious. "How do you control it? How do you decide who to hurt?" She looked at him, eyes glowing faintly. "My gift is not just to see emotions, but to share them, to make others feel what I feel. I do not want to hurt anyone, only stop violence." Elias was impressed and thoughtful. "That's a power humanity never had. But maybe we can learn." Gerali's eyes widened. "You, smiled. "We have forgotten much of what made us human, but I believe there is hope." Over the next days, Elias and Gerali met in secret, sharing stories of their worlds, fears, and hopes. She taught him how to listen beyond words. how to read the silent language of feelings. He showed her how humans used courage and willpower to overcome darkness. Their friendship grew, built on trust and mutual respect. Yet, outside their small circle, danger brewed. The political factions in the conclave feared change. They whispered that Elias was becoming too close to the Veltheran princess. He was risking Earth's position for a lost cause. One senator approached Elias with a warning. "Your sympathies are misplaced." "Commander," the senator hissed, "Garli's power threatens the balance. If she is allowed to speak freely, entire systems could fall." Elias replied calmly, "or entire systems could be saved." The senator's eyes narrowed. "Be careful. Not all battles are won with words or feelings." That evening, Elias returned to his quarters to find a message waiting. It was from Jirali. "Meet me in the Garden of Echoes. There's something I must show you." Curious and concerned, Elias dressed quickly and followed the directions. Garden of Echoes was a hidden sanctuary on the diplomatic station. Trees with crystalline leaves shimmered under the artificial moonlight. The air was filled with soft sounds, whispers of the past, carried by gentle winds. Jirali waited by a pool of dark water. Her reflection shimmering, she took his hand again. "Close." "Your eyes," she said. Elias obeyed, in the darkness behind his eyelids. He saw colors: deep blues, vibrant reds, soft gold swirling and pulsing like living stars. He felt warmth, sadness, hope, and fear, all at once. Garli's voice echoed. In his mind, "This is the gift of my people. We do not need words to speak, you feel." Elias opened his eyes, amazed. "I want to learn," he whispered. Jirali smiled. "Then you must be brave. The galaxy will not accept this easily." Elias nodded. "I am ready." As they left the garden, Elias felt a new purpose. Silent Princess had shown him a world beyond politics, a world where understanding could replace fear, but he knew the coming days would be the hardest. Enemies lurked in every shadow, and the fate of many worlds depended on a voice long silenced, and Elias vowed to be the one to help her speak it again. The diplomatic conclave on Xandria had become a dangerous place for both Elias Ward and Princess Jirali. Since the night she revealed her power, eyes and whispers followed them everywhere. Some were filled with fear, others with hatred. Fragile peace among the alien races was now shaken. Elias stood in the council chamber, feeling the weight of 1,000 gazes. Around him, representatives from powerful alien empires argued bitterly. The accusations against Jirali grew louder. She was called a threat to the galaxy's balance, a weapon disguised as a princess. Jirali herself stayed calm. Her silence spoke volumes, but her eyes betrayed a storm of emotions: pain, determination, a quiet strength. Elias knew the time had come to act. That evening, Elias found Jirali in a quiet chamber deep inside the diplomatic station. She was sitting cross-legged, eyes closed, as if gathering her strength. "You don't have to be silent all the time," Elias said gently, sitting beside her. She opened her eyes and looked at him, her violet gaze shining with an emotion Elias could not name. "My silence protects me," she said softly. "Words can be twisted. My voice, it can also be dangerous."
What do you mean?
Elias asked. Jirali hesitated, then spoke slowly. "My gift is not only to see feelings, but to share them, to touch the hearts and minds of others without speaking, but sometimes this power can overwhelm." She reached out and lightly touched Elias's hand. "I can show you if you want." Elias nodded, curious and trusting. Jirali closed her eyes and focused. A wave of emotions flowed from her mind into his, a mixture of joy, fear, hope, and sorrow. Suddenly, Elias saw flashes of memories: a war-torn Velthera, families broken, children crying, enemies betraying one another. He gasped and looked at her. "It's so real, so strong." "Yes," she whispered. "That is why many fear me, because they see their own fears in my gift." The next day, during a high council meeting, Jirali stood to speak for the first time in public since the chaos began. Her voice was soft but carried across the chamber. I am not a weapon to be feared. I am a princess who wishes to bring peace, she said clearly. My people's gift is not meant to destroy, but to heal. The room was silent. Many were shocked to hear her speak, and others looked skeptical. Elias stepped forward. She offers us a chance to build a new alliance, one based on understanding and empathy. Some delegates murmured agreement. Others shouted protest. Before the argument could grow louder, a sudden explosion rocked the building. Chaos erupted. Security rushed to the source of the blast, the hall where Elias had been moments before. He found himself surrounded by masked attackers. Before Elias could react, he felt a sharp sting in his neck. Darkness took him. When Elias opened his eyes, he was in a medical bay. Pain in his head, but alive. Garrely was there, standing quietly. Are you okay? She asked, her voice gentle. Elias nodded weakly. What happened? They tried to kill. You, she said, because of me. Elias looked at her concerned. Now they will try again, Garrely said. Suddenly she closed her eyes. A calm energy filled the room. Elias felt a strange warmth, as if her feelings were surrounding him. Garrely's eyes opened. Glowing faintly, with a wave of her hand, she sent a pulse through the room. The attackers, who had entered unnoticed, froze. There. Eyes widened with fear. One by one, they collapsed, unable to move. The medical staff gasped. Garrely's power was stronger than anyone had imagined. Elias sat up, amazed. How did you do that? Garrely smiled softly. It is the power of empathy to share the feelings of others and calm violence. Elias shook his head. It is like a weapon, but a peaceful one. She nodded, and it must be used carefully. News of the attack and Garrely's power spread quickly. Some leaders called for her exile or imprisonment. Others saw hope in her abilities. Elias knew the fight was far from over, but he was ready to stand by her side. Together they would change the galaxy, not with war, but with understanding. Elias returned to his quarters, exhausted, but curious. He opened an old database Elias had found in the archives, a collection of ancient histories and biological records about Earth's forgotten past. As he read, he discovered something surprising. Long ago, humans had a connection similar to Garrely's empathic abilities, a subtle way to sense emotions deeply without words. This ability had faded over centuries, buried beneath logic and technology, but the record said it still lived, hidden. In the subconscious, Elias decided to test this discovery. The next day, he met Garrely in a quiet chamber. I read about my people's past, he told her. It says humans once had something like your gift. Garrely looked interested. Can you feel it? Elias closed his eyes and focused. At first there was nothing but silence. Then, faint colors and feelings began to surface. Fear, hope, curiosity. He opened his eyes, amazed. It's faint, he said, but I think it's there. Garrely smiled. You are awakening what is lost. That is rare. Over the next days, Elias and Garrely practiced together. She guided him to listen with his heart, not just his mind. He learned to sense feelings in others, sometimes even before they spoke, slowly. A new connection formed between humans and Veltherans. But not everyone welcomed this at a council meeting. A powerful senator from the Zavlok Empire stood to speak. This new alliance threatens the balance, he said. Humans have no place in our politics. Garrely rose calmly. You fear what you do not understand, she said. But our power is not a weapon. It is a way to heal. The room erupted in arguments. Elias stepped forward. We have a choice, he said firmly. To continue old wars or to build something new? Outside the council, threats grew. An anonymous message warned Elias that the Zavlok were planning to capture Garrely. He shared the message with her. We must be careful, she said. But I will not hide. Elias nodded. Then I stand with you. That night, in the Garden of Echoes, Elias and Garrely met again. The shimmering leaves whispered softly, Show me more. Elias said. Garrelly closed her eyes and reached out. Elias felt a rush of emotions, joy, sorrow, courage, and love. He realized that this was more than power. It was a gift to unite. Back in the council chamber, Elias and Shirali presented a bold proposal, the Empathic Accord. It was a plan to create a galaxy-wide alliance based on understanding and shared feelings. Some delegates were moved, others remained hostile, but the idea was planted. As the conclave neared its end, Elias and Garrelly prepared for the final vote. The future of the galaxy and their place in it hung in the balance. The Great Hall of the Xandria Diplomatic Station was filled to capacity. Delegates from hundreds of worlds packed the chamber, their eyes fixed on the stage where the final vote of the conclave would be held. The air was thick with tension and anticipation. Commander Elias Ward stood near the front, steady and determined. Beside him was Princess Garrelly, her veil gone, her violet eyes shining with quiet confidence. She was no longer the silent princess of exile. Tonight she would speak, not just for herself, but for a vision that could change the galaxy forever. The council president, a tall, gray-skinned elder named Varthal, stepped forward. His voice was calm but heavy with the weight of the moment. Representatives, we have heard many voices over these days, many fears, many hopes. Now it is time to decide the future of our galaxy. He gestured toward Garrelly. Princess Garrelly, you may address the assembly. Garrelly stepped forward. The hall fell silent. She took a deep breath and spoke. My people were once proud and powerful. We were exiled because of fear of our gift. For too long, silence has been my shield. But today I speak to you not as an outcast, but as a messenger of peace. Her voice was steady and strong, carrying across the chamber. We stand at a crossroads. We can choose to hold on to old grudges and continue cycles of war, or we can choose empathy, the ability to truly understand one another. She looked around the room, meeting eyes. My gift is to share feelings, to build bridges where others see walls. It is a power that can heal if we dare to use it. Murmurs spread among the crowd. Some faces softened. Others remained wary. Elias stepped forward. As a human, I have seen the darkness and the light of our kind. We once lost the ability to connect deeply, but together with Princess Garrelly, we have found a way to awaken what was forgotten. He turned to the council. This is our chance for the galaxy to unite, not through fear, but through understanding. The vote began. Each delegate pressed a small crystal to cast their decision. The chamber waited in breathless silence. Finally, the results were announced. The Empathic Accord had passed. Cheers erupted from some corners, while others grumbled in defeat. Garrelly's eyes sparkled with tears of relief and hope. Elias reached out and took her hand. You did it, he whispered. She smiled. We did it. Together. As the crowd began to disperse, a group of elders approached. They carried an ancient crown, simple but beautiful. One elder spoke. Princess Garrelly, by the will of the council, we offer you the title of Ambassador Queena. Leader chosen not by birthright alone, but by the courage to change. Garrelly bowed her head, then lifted it proudly. This crown is not a chain. It is a choice to serve, to protect, and to unite. Days later, the first meeting of the Empathic Accord was held. Representatives sat around a glowing table, sharing feelings and ideas in a way the galaxy had never seen. Elias and Garrelly stood side by side, watching the new era begin. In a quiet moment, Elias looked at Garrelly. You're still the most beautiful one here, he said softly. She laughed. Sound like music, and now everyone agrees. The galaxy was changing, not with weapons or feared, but with the simple, powerful gift of understanding. And the silent princess, who found her voice, became a symbol of hope for all.